Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Today Show. And I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, your host today, and my co-host, Jill Younghusband, always here when we do Thursday, and we're going to talk about veterans and our special communities. So welcome to the show, Jill.
Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. We just love it when you're here because we know you can talk with credibility about the veteran experience. I cannot do that. So it's always great to have the experts with me when I'm wanting to address certain things. And of course, we're streaming live right now on the Laurie Davis Facebook page, the disability page. Jay may pop in. I sent him the link. So if he wants to come in and say hi, he's always, veterans are very close to his heart as well. And of course, the Disability Channel. We just took on 15 new students who are being sponsored to take the media training that the Disability Channel provides.
Yes.
And actually, we're going to do a show with the students so that they can have the experience behind the scenes. We're in front of the camera, but they're going to be working behind the camera. And so I think Jay's going to use the show as kind of like a little training ground for them to get some experience. So a whole brand new class of students at the Disability Channel media training program. And that was always Jay's goal, was to provide employment for the veteran and disability community. And that's something that people can do even if they're in a wheelchair. They can work in the media industry. So that's really, to me, heartfelt. Isn't that beautiful?
Well, I was invited to speak to the group of students on their first Zoom call last week because I've been invited as a guest and because they want to feature veteran stories. So I was able to introduce myself to the students.
Awesome.
Great variety of people. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, you're ahead of me then. I haven't met them yet.
Yeah.
So good for you. I didn't realize that. That's great.
Well, it's wonderful. Jay wants to shine a spotlight on veterans' stories. So it's a wonderful opportunity for everyone involved. It's a win-win.
Right. And don't you love those win-win situations?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about, I think we're going to talk about a variety of things, but we're going to focus on trauma and the veteran community, PTSD. What does that really mean? What are some ways for people to get well? What are they doing right now to get well? And then some things that we have to offer to support our veterans particularly in prevention. And let's start there, because a lot of times, during COVID, Jill, I was taking 3 and 4 calls a week, talking kids and young adults down from suicide because they knew I could, the parents, they knew whoever it was referred me to them. But it was like every week, 3 or 4 calls. And I just couldn't, and it just kept getting more intense and more intense. And we know, what is the statistic for suicides among our veterans? I know in the States, it's 22 a day.
Right.
22 a day. I don't know the stat for Canada.
I don't think we have an actual stat. I don't think they've been tracking.
Okay.
Stefan Beard would have more information on that, but we do have a suicide problem with our veterans for sure in Canada. But because of privacy reasons, they may not be. It's been difficult to get the numbers. I know that some people have been trying to find.
Yes, so I did do some research, but it just gave me a percentage of the population who are veterans. There's no specific, but the States is definitely 22 a day.
Yes.
So, so we know that when people get to that place, they're way past the crises. They're in crises already, of course, but when that becomes the solution to your problems, we know that they have not received the help that they needed.
Right.
So let's talk about what's available. What do you know that's available to support veterans for mental illness?
Well, there is a crisis line with Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
So if you can get online, just Google Veterans Affairs Canada, and straight away on their main landing page, there's a crisis line 24/7.
Hmm.
There's also Veterans Emergency Transition Services. They also provide boots on the ground response. They have volunteers across the country.
Hmm.
Um, and they're also working side by side with Veterans Affairs Canada to support our injured vets. Uh, there are volunteers across the country working with the occupational stress injury clinics as peer support um, facilitators who have had some training through the OSI clinics in major cities across Canada. Most major cities have an OSI clinic for veterans.
Hmm.
So there are resources out there,
Right.
uh, but we need to stay in touch with each other and just do a buddy check. Do a buddy
Hmm.
check. Reach out. Like my late friend Peter Keto, he said, "Don't don't say to somebody, 'I'm here, call me anytime.' No, if you're thinking about somebody, you pick up the phone and you call them because when people are in crisis, the heaviest thing is the phone."
That is right. Right. And who really feels safe? No disrespect to what's being provided. I'm so
Right.
grateful for that.
Mhm.
But really, when you get real about it, who wants to pick up the phone and talk to a stranger
Right.
that may or may not be qualified
Mhm.
to listen properly to, uh, like it's hard enough when it's with people that you know and trust. It's hard to
Yes.
ask for help.
Yeah.
But when it's a stranger, like you said, that phone weighs 500 pounds.
Mhm. Mhm. And sometimes these, in their delicate situations, it's very stressful. I've been in some situations where I've been watching someone in crisis unravel, and there was nothing I could do because I wasn't in the vicinity,
Right.
and so it's very difficult to maneuver, um, and and it's also very like, and the veteran community is very small in Canada, and we're all connected in one way or another, and it's always very, very sad when you get the note when you see a when you when we lose someone,
Right.
you know, it's devastating. And so the question is, how do we stay in touch with each other? And I know that there's the different regimental associations are doing great work with the PPCLI Association and Paul Hale. I got some training with mental health first aid, and it was a 2-day seminar, and he set it all up, and it was across Canada. It was a Zoom training session, and there's again there's volunteers across the country, but we just need to stay in touch and reach out to these people and let them know, hey, you matter. We care about you. Um, what can we do? Who can What's worked for you in the past? What can we do together moving forward
Mm.
right now? What is the first thing we can do for you?
Right.
And just to let
Well,
someone know that they matter and we
yeah.
care.
And they're not alone.
Right.
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 Well, I think it's really sad, just as a civilian person, to watch our veterans go to battle, get deployed, go away, and they get home safely. And then everything falls apart like a $3 watch.
Hmm.
And they're in crises more once they get back home than they were when they were overseas fighting, protecting us, whatever. That's just my opinion. It's just an opinion, an observation.
Hmm.
Kind of like the guy who got home from World War II, stepped off the curb and got hit by a bus, once he got home, right?
Hmm.
And there's lots of those stories. So I'm sure you've seen lots of that, including yourself. If there's anything you want to share, a situation you found yourself in.
Well, one thing I do recognize is when you're deployed with a unit and you have you develop bonds with the people you're working with that you don't have anywhere else. It's a different kind of thing. You're buddies, and you're like a family, um, and you've got each other's back. And when you're deployed. Now, I was never in combat, but I was with a logistics unit in Namibia, and you're you stick together because you're in a foreign country, and you watch it, and you got each other's back, and then you develop friendships and bonds, and then you come home, and that all disappears. And it's almost like a grieving process. And also, with some stories I've heard from other veterans, is you're hyper vigilant when you're deployed in like Afghanistan. If you're out as a combat arms soldier, you're hyper vigilant, and you get into a mode of operation mentally. And then again, these bonds form. It's a brotherhood that you can't define. And then they come home, and then they have to be normal family, go back home to a normal family. And there's no well, now they have a decompression process. They, on their way out of a combat zone, there's a few days, a decompression at a location somewhere on the planet, somewhere tropical. And
Mhm.
there's briefings now, like there are some protocols in place to when coming out of a war zone. But coming home to a family, coming home to children, and they're hypersensitive to noise, to smells, to environment. um, it's very, very challenging for the families. Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think it would be important for us sometime on our show to feature some family members. I did a show probably about a year ago now, and on in the show we had a panel of women my age whose dads were in World War II or moms were in World War II,
Hmm.
and what it was like being brought up as the child of someone who just got home from war. And that was very challenging for us as kids. And
Hmm.
I understand your dad was in the military as well.
Hmm.
So the moves, everything that's associated with military life,
Hmm.
um, it rolls downhill, shall I say.
Well, one thing I've learned doing this healing work for 20 years is, and this was a surprise to me, trauma is inherited.
Hmm.
If you search out, uh, oh, what is the there's a name for the, now it's escaping me because I'm, um, family constellation work.
Hmm.
Trauma is inherited.
Hmm.
And there's studies on this, and there are treatments, and there's protocols for it. There's workshops. I've participated in some, and I've also done one-on-one work with a constellation therapist that I had found in Ontario. So yeah, there's research that shows. And I've met and you're this. I have a few good friends whose dads fought in World War II.
Hmm.
And many don't realize you could be affected by that.
Oh, definitely.
You could.
Definitely. And particularly in my generation, when families didn't sit down and talk about how you were feeling about certain things, or how did that impact you or affect you. And my dad, I always knew that he loved us for sure,
Mhm.
but at the same time he wasn't always affectionate, or neither could he express that. um, so I'm thinking, there's the whole process of coming home and transitioning. It's not just about that one individual who's coming home.
Mhm.
It's the families.
Yes.
And I don't think I know we need to do some shows around that. And
Mhm.
we have some wonderful veterans lined up for the fall, but this is August, and as you know, living in Canada, we do everything we can to take advantage of all the good weather,
This
because
is
our good weather season is so short, right? So, but we do have some wonderful guests lined up for the fall.
Mhm.
And you're so knowledgeable, Jill. I know that our viewers have commented on how we banter back and forth and how we can complement each other. And You have an area of expertise that I certainly don't have, but I have some things that I can bring to the table to support, because I believe that there are alternative ways to heal.
Yes.
And that's been my life's work, providing those ways for people to heal in an alternative way. And of course, repair and restoration of one's self-worth is key to everything else working properly. And I've had people tell me that, after I took your workshops, everything my counselor told me all of a sudden made sense,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So there's no one big fix, but there's different pieces to the puzzle that support us. And I know you've done a variety of things along the way.
Yes, I've I'm a work in progress still, but I've I've tried many different healing modalities, and they've all helped me along the way to get me to where I am now. No
Right,
question.
right.
I'm in a much better place now than I was 10 years ago, for example. But even knowing your work now, the um, reclaiming, just in the last 2 months, yes, it's work. There's shifts going on. There's a bit of flux. There's a little bit of chaos that happens when you open up the Pandora's box,
That's
so
right.
to speak.
That's right.
But it's necessary work if you want to have a life of quality
That's
and of
right.
meaning. And that's all I've been striving for over these last 20 years. The suffering, you know, there is meaning in it, but uh, for me, the suffering has been guiding me. The pain
Mhm,
has
mhm.
been navigating. But now all of a sudden, I can see now. Okay, I've been on a path, and now it's time to really put the rubber to the road. I have
Mhm.
all these tools in my toolbox, but I haven't been using them because I didn't have the self worth and the self value to make myself a priority.
Right on.
So.
Okay, well, let's take a little break. That's wonderfully said. And when we come back, I created a list. I shared a little bit of it yesterday, but
Mhm.
I've expanded on it. But I thought of all these T words because I started with trauma, and that's a T word. And then I thought, I am going to now, what is it that we provide people with that supports them in healing from all the trauma, right from way back when? So when we come back, we can have a discussion about that.
All right, get your notepads.
Get out your notepads. Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Today Show with my cohort here, Jill Younghusband, and myself. And today is our special community day. So today we're talking about our veterans, of course, transitioning, getting well, what's available for them, what's not available. And I just want to share this with you, Jill. I found this the other day. I was cleaning out a drawer, and it's a journal.
Oh, I like that.
Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. So this
Mhm.
journal goes back to 2010. So we're talking 14 years ago. All right. And I wrote some things in this journal um, about, who we are and what we do and all that. And it was just an outline of, you know, some things that I wrote back then.
Mhm.
And one of the questions I wrote down was, why do we know that our alternative mental health care systems work? And that's what I had asked myself. How do we know? Why do we know that our alternative mental health care systems work? And when we say mental health care systems, we're referring to our workshops.
Mhm.
Now, back in 2010, I might have had 100 workshops maybe back then. I don't know, something
Mhm.
like that. Now we have over 1,000.
Mhm.
And then I wrote, we spent years researching conventional methods of healing and empowerment, only to discover that success rates are so low that we never really get to the heart of the matter and the root causes of our anxiety and depression. So
It's
I wrote
the
that
heart. It's the heart.
heart, the pit, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I wrote, we focus on repairing damaged self worth, inspire higher levels of confidence, and most importantly, support our clients with a whole new set of communication skills and techniques,
Yay.
right?
Mhm.
We provide a unique setting that is conducive and safe for our clients to do their personal work.
That is so important. The safety factor,
Mhm,
um, I can't emphasize that enough. Yes, you have to feel safe to allow things
mhm.
to process. And
That's right.
I went to Peru last September for a veteran retreat and research retreat for using plant medicines. And I tell you, it was so safe. And there were 8 other veterans there, plus facilitators. And it was like a love on steroids, like the support that we all gave each other, but we stayed in our lanes, but we supported one another. And there was a trust factor there, and that really was so important for the healing process. Absolutely.
Well, you know why you connected to that so intensely, because it also was a reminder of you of the brotherhood, the sisterhood that you had left.
Hmm.
So it was
Yes.
like, oh, this feels right
Yes.
because it's what you knew.
Thank you. Yes.
Mhm,
It was beautiful. Oh,
mhm.
I have so many wonderful memories of that time. But it was it was work. It was work, but we were in it together. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And another thing I wrote, which I thought was kind of interesting, and I'm not sure that I totally agree with it now, but anyway, I had said that ours is not just a spiritual journey, because a lot of times, there's other modalities that are spiritually based, and that's it.
Yes. Mhm.
Ours is not an intellectual journey. Ours is not a rehabilitation program.
No.
Ours is a holistic process using experiential techniques, embracing all aspects of the human personality that we are.
Oh, that is good.
You think that's good? I'm just looking at this and
Holistic.
going, did I
Yes.
write 14 years ago now?
Experiential. That's how
Oh,
I
yeah,
learn.
that's
And
right. Well,
mhm.
actually, that's how we all learn.
Yeah.
When you go to a speaker or a lecture, or now
Mhm.
think about it, with all of our conventional institutions, university, etc., nurses training, it doesn't matter. Everybody's sitting in a room, and up front there's a lecturer.
Mhm.
The retention rate at a lecture is 2%.
Wah, wah, wah.
I know.
The
If
talking
it's,
head.
yeah, if it's experiential, guess what it is? 85%.
Mhm. You have to feel it, you have to experience it, you have
Have
to
to
integrate it.
experience it. Yeah.
Mhm.
We focus on getting our clients to a place where each one discovers who they are and not what they
Right. It's interesting.
Just
When
to name a few.
I've had conversations about, ex people getting out of the military, and they're lost, and they're saying it's who I am. Be a soldier is who I am.
No,
And no, you're much more than that. So much
right.
more. So
It's what
much.
you did. That's what you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so,
No,
I
don't
was
don't
actually,
pigeonhole yourself, because then you're gonna get
yeah,
trapped.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're not
Expand,
defined. You're not
live the
defined.
best life you can. You're more than that. It's
Ex-
wonderful you're a soldier, yes, but you're more than that.
That's right.
So much more.
And there was an organization in the States that I worked for. I did a contract for there. The organization was called 40 Plus.
Oh,
And it was for male executives who had lost their jobs.
Oh.
And so, you've got your nameplate on your desk, the vice president of sales, the general manager of whatever, and and they were so attached to that title.
Mhm.
They forgot that they were dads, that they were brothers, that they were, and they had meltdowns. It would just be like transitioning, similar
Mhm.
deal.
Mhm.
So this organization, they set offices up around the US for people to have a place to go. So the guys would get up in the morning, put on their shirt and ties, grab their briefcase, and go to that space.
Mhm.
So as part of the transitioning, to help them realize and recognize that, like you said, Jill, you're more than the vice president of sales.
Yes.
But we get very attached to
To
our
the
titles,
titles.
our
Mhm.
ranks, right?
Corporal for life.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So yeah, it's just very interesting. So when I found this, and I didn't realize I had written that stuff in 2010.
And it's still
I
valid
keep
now. Still valid.
it's even more valid. It's
Yes.
more valid. Okay. Yeah, for sure. So, um, some of the T words that I attach to trauma, and it's about healing from the trauma that we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
So I'll share the word, and I'd love to have your take on the word, because these are all
Oh.
things that are within the framework of our alternative mental health care.
Mhm.
So first of all, the first word is, first of all, I have to recognize that you're traumatized. So
Oh,
like our show on Monday, we have to come out of denial about the fact that we are in trauma, that we've been
yes.
traumatized.
Yes.
So how did
And
you know that you'd been traumatized in your
I
career?
I didn't realize until a year ago, a year and a half. It's been a year and a
Oh,
half.
wow.
I had a review board that I attended in person with Veterans Affairs Canada, and I walked into a room with fluorescent lighting with a bunch of strangers who had my full medical file on their computer, so my life on their laptops. And I was there to advocate for myself for an injury that I've been in the process of appealing now for over a decade. And it finally came, this meeting, this review board, and I had a physiological reaction to the environment that I'd never experienced before, and it was like I couldn't feel my body, and I thought,
Wow.
what's happening? And it took me, and then when I came home that day, uh, I didn't realize what I was going through, and I had to go to bed, and it took me a couple of weeks to recover my energy from that half an hour meeting, that moment. My body reacted before my brain understood what was happening, because the vagus, and then I discovered the vagus nerve and how it can be activated and how what dysregulation is. I had no idea.
Mhm. Wow.
It was so powerful. The body trying to keep you safe. Your brain is trying to keep you safe.
Yes.
And that was the reaction I had. And I had so many triggers around the room that I didn't realize. Like there was a commissionaire there wearing his former, like a CF shirt with his jump wings on, with his name tag, reminded me of my father. He was very kind, but he was there to do the recording of the meeting. And then I had some lawyers, and I had my lawyer who I'd just met. They were, sitting there, and they're asking me questions, and I vaguely, I don't remember very much of the conversations, but I remember the feeling, and I remember this one commissionaire who looked like my dad,
Mhm. Wow.
and just things I didn't expect.
Mhm.
And I
Wow.
walked in there, yeah, and I think they were surprised that I showed up. "Oh, you're gonna come to the review board?" I said, "Oh, yes. I'm gonna represent myself." And off I went. No clue. And yeah, that was an eye opener. And so
Wow.
I thought I was Superwoman.
Yes. Yes, I know. All right. So yeah, and in our work, we bring that to light very early on in the first 2 or 3 workshops, uh, to connect people to the fact that they were traumatized as children
Hmm.
long before their adult life. And those childhood traumas are attached to the traumas that we experience as an adult. There's a connection.
Because it's almost like a setup to
Yes. Yes.
you live what you learn, what
That's
you
right.
what you
That's
experience, and it carries on into adulthood and into your relationships and into your choice
everything.
of choice of job or choice of
Oh,
employment.
totally. Totally.
Hmm.
I mean, even in my world, I was traumatized as a child. I didn't know that. I thought
Hmm.
a victim was somebody in a car accident
Right.
or somebody who got shot. And that's a pretty limited view of a victim. I didn't
Hmm.
know that if you'd been sexually assaulted or beaten with a belt or um, any of those things, I didn't connect that, oh my gosh, they're victims. We were all victims as children to something. And of
Hmm.
course, we don't know how to react to that, respond to that. We don't have that kind of rationalization at that point in time.
Hmm.
So yeah, so trauma is very broad, very wide, and what may traumatize you might not traumatize me. That's the other thing.
Well, this is it. It's all relative.
Right.
I've seen it, and the military is bad for this. Well, how did he get PTSD? He wasn't in combat.
Oh. Well, they make it sound like it's a disease like cancer,
Hmm.
right? And it's not that.
No.
It's a reaction
Hmm.
to what I've experienced.
Hmm.
Well, you could say that about cancer too, but it's not classified as a, you
Right.
know, it's like, yeah, it's a disease. Like the old school is alcoholism is a disease and you
Hmm.
inherit it and all that.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
no.
Well, it's interesting in my journey through this. Some practitioners don't even use the word. They'll go post traumatic stress, but they won't add the word disorder to the end of it.
Right.
It is post traumatic stress, certainly,
Absolutely.
but it can heal.
Yes.
The
a-
scar will be there, but it won't hurt anymore.
That's right.
That's one
Absolutely.
thing I can say from my own experience.
Sure. So let's see how many of these words you experienced in your healing
Okay.
so that you could, you know, dispel the trauma. So I decided, time, timeliness, and timing, because it takes time to heal. It doesn't take 20 years, though. You've
No.
been a long time in the process.
Yes.
Okay. Um, timely, meaning I need to do this now.
I'm
I can't,
ready.
I'm
Mhm.
ready. I can't do
Mhm.
this.
Enough is enough. Ugh,
Right, right.
help.
And then when the student is ready, the
Mhm. That's
teacher will appear.
mhm.
And what do you know about that? You've got a couple of experiences. Your
Well,
friend.
you landed into my world right at the right time. I was ready.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
and when you mentioned time, the first thing that came to my mind is time does not heal all wounds.
No,
The heart doesn't know time. The heart knows feeling.
right.
And so, uh, and I learned that. I think I learned that from Wayne Dyer. I think
Mhm.
years ago.
Yeah,
The heart does not know time. Time does not heal all wounds.
no.
You got to feel it to heal it, and you
Mhm,
have to be ready. The timing needs to be right. You have to be in the right environment with the right facilitator.
mhm.
That's huge. Having the right facilitator, the right intention. But yeah, timing,
Mhm. Time
timeliness. The teacher.
timeliness.
The
Teacher.
teacher is important. Who you choose. You have to be very discerning with who you work with.
Mhm.
Look at their track record. Look at how they walk their walk. and know your intentions. Know
Mhm.
your intentions. I set my intentions with everything I do. My intention being here on the show is to share my story so that it can help others heal, especially the veteran community, because it is so needed. There is such a gap. And these are my friends, these are my family, my loved ones. And so that's why I'm here. My intention is sharing my story. I'm not here to gossip. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here to share my story so that it can help others.
Absolutely. So that's very timely,
Yes,
right?
I'm ready. The
Yes.
time is now.
No. And the next one is talent. Recognizing that I came with one or two gifts. Now, a gift, when we land on the planet, we come with a couple of gifts.
Mhm,
A gift is inherent. So, I come with the gift of music. I come with the gift of communication. I come with the gift of being able to mechanically fix things naturally. Things
mhm,
that we don't need to be taught. They're just in our DNA, and everybody has gifts.
mhm,
Talents, however, can be developed. So I did not know that I had a talent for sewing until I actually did it. Maybe I didn't know I had the talent of soldiering until I actually did it. But a talent is something we can learn and
mhm.
excel in, and that brings us joy. So
Yes.
if you're out there and you're under the weather or you're feeling it, just find something that you could develop that would be a talent. And we all have the ability to learn new things. So whether it's learning how to be a better parent, learning how to be an effective partner, learning how
Mhm.
to take care of myself, because some things we have to relearn, especially when we
Yes.
move from one environment to the other.
Mhm.
And we are lifelong learners, and there's nothing out there that you cannot learn how to do. So if it's we
Or
need to learn how,
remember that you knew. Yes.
that's right,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
So I can learn how to come home and be a dad. I can learn how to come home and be try something different or do something
mhm,
different,
mhm.
because we all have the ability to develop talents.
Yes. Yes. Well, one thing that, you're saying that reminds me, there is a Canadian veteran marketplace on Facebook, and all these veteran
Oh,
businesses are listed
nice.
with
Oh, beautiful.
thousands of members, and I see artists, people
Yeah,
who paint, people who design jewelry,
yeah.
furniture design, trench art, like they take empty casings and make artwork out of that. Um,
Look who's here.
all these different, hey Jay, yeah, so all these different artists that
Hey,
Yeah.
they've discovered their talents, or honed their talents after their service, and now they're entrepreneurs.
Right
Mhm.
on. Jay, we've got some background noise there. You're in the studio, are you?
oh, okay. Hold on here. Hold on here. I'm in the studio. Yeah, so I just turning down our monitors here. There you go. Hi,
Good
ladies.
morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
How's everything today?
Well, I'm asking you, how are you?
Doing
How's
good.
everything going? Doing good?
Doing good. I got George Chavallo, Canadian champ, behind me. Canadian
Awesome.
Canadian champ. Everything's good. I'm just popping in quickly, and then I'm popping out. I just wanted to let you know that we had on Marion of Waikiki today on Suite 303. What a dynamic and very interesting lady. So you're going to have a great guest tomorrow. She's
Okay.
doing great things for the community. So, but I'm not gonna spoil the surprise. I just wanted
Okay.
to pop on quickly and see how you guys are doing. How's your show? I was listening a little bit before I jumped on. So everybody's good.
Oh, yeah. We're
Oh,
always able to talk veteran talk. As long as we have Jill, we can talk veteran talk.
it's always
So,
wonderful
yeah.
to be on the show. Yeah.
No, this is great. I mean, Veteran Day on Thursday, I've been spreading the word now. So we're going to be really, I guess, upping our Thursday game. So, Jill, you're going to be very important to our show. So I really want to thank you for supporting and helping Laurie and being a very interesting co-host. You got a lot of good stuff to say. We really thank you for that. So, yeah, so it's good. Victus stuff's going on. The tour's happening, getting ready for the Super Bowl. Talked to the Ottawa Senators yesterday, the alumni. They love our programs. They want to support us. So going on, I got a big announcement on Sirius XM on our radio show on Friday. So everything's humming positively. So I just wanted to say thank you, ladies, and keep up the great work. And let me know if you need anything.
Well, thank you
thank
very
you, Jay.
much for all your
thank you
support.
for the platform. It's great.
Yes, beautiful. All right. We'll
Yeah,
take care.
It is good. We got a lot of good people. Yep. I'm out of here, guys. Have a great show. Bye-bye.
Oof, they're gone.
It's like
a little wizard.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, the timing, the talents, and so building your talents. And you were just saying before Jay popped in about you want to repeat that again about
the Canadian Veteran Marketplace. You know, there's thousands of businesses listed in this group, and they're all veteran owned. You know, providing real estate, art. You know, being very creative. They've tapped into their creative side after service, and some of them have had been, undergone retraining through some of the vocational rehab programs that are available through the military. Cool. And so, it's a wonderful network. That's how I found my mortgage broker. I just Googled, I went into the group. Anybody know a mortgage broker in Edmonton? Yeah. Or, any kind of service. Because, we want to support each other as retired military. We want to support veteran-owned businesses and endeavors. So, many have been successful with that. Right. And many veterans also have, they're doing podcasts. As we know, we had Chance Burles on here from the Collective. He was a combat engineer and doing really great work. A lot of good advocacy work going on in the veteran community as well. That's where my talents. I'm honing this talent of being of service and being an advocate, because I like to solve problems. And as you have pointed out, and I have to be careful about this, I am a helper. No, a rescuer. So I have to be very mindful. But I have been very successful in finding solutions over the years, and it's always fun to find out how things work, and so I get a lot of satisfaction in supporting veterans through the Veterans Affairs bureaucracy, helping them through that, guiding them, and so I'm grateful for that. But I have to be careful because the burnout.
All right. Well, let's talk about the trust factor, because that's something that we built a business on, actually. Trust, confidentiality, safety, and that's all part of trust. And I know for a fact that I cannot do my personal work in a room full of people. So I come from the private sector, the business side of things. And so when I decided that we weren't going to put any more than 6 people in a workshop, I had so many business friends say to me, well, how are you going to run a business like that? If you're only going to put 6 people, you got to have, and because traditionally and conventionally, people in my industry, they want rooms full of people. They want 1,000 people in the audience. And so I stepped out of that box and I went, no. I'm either working personally with people, 2 in a group, no more than 6. And even if I'm working in a large group, I have everybody in little pods of 6 all around the ballroom.
Yes, breakout groups. Yeah.
Yes. So how important is it to have that safe space and trust in the people that are helping you? To me, that's like number 1.
Well, you're so vulnerable.
Right.
When you're opening yourself up to things that aren't familiar. So there's a trust factor there. There's a vulnerability for sure. And, for myself, I've always, I've had some breakthrough experiences, and they've always been with small groups, maybe 3 or 4,
Hmm. Yes.
because having other people there is powerful, but you have to have the right people, and you need to be able to trust those around you so that you can be vulnerable, so that you can, um, have the opportunity to heal. Because yeah, it's facilitation,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that can't be done in a group of 1,000 people.
No.
Tony Robbins does his thing. Does great work, but yeah, that the rah cheerleader stuff. There's a place for it,
Yes.
but when you're dealing with deep-seated trauma, old and complex trauma, you need to have a very nurturing environment, very safe, very empathic. Um,
Mhm. Yes, and just know that if you are seeking support, that these are some of the criteria that you should be looking for in that process, that you have the
mhm.
right person, that you have uh, the timing is right, that you're ready and willing, that the
Yeah,
trust is there, the safety is there.
trust your gut. Yeah,
Yeah.
if
And
it
these
doesn't
are things
feel
that
right,
people need.
maybe you need to wait it out, or maybe
Yeah.
do some more research, etc. Yeah.
And these are the people, and even Jill, if I go to a massage therapist or a service provider like that for my own
Hmm.
personal wellness,
Hmm.
I've gone in and actually walked out of an appointment and said, "I'm sorry, you know what? This isn't going to work for me," because I was picking up on the toxicity of that individual who's going to put their hands on my body, and they did not have the wellness within themselves, and that energy transfers over. So even when you're looking for a service provider, you need to know that you have a right to choose the right one for you.
Yes. Yes, you can change your mind.
Yes. Mhm.
You have that choice. You have that power. It's your life. It's your health.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Another area that I think is important for people to look for is the results. Not to get tied up on the outcomes, but am I going to see results? And that I call testing,
Ooh.
um, testing
Hmm.
the waters, so I can see that this is going to work for me. And if the person that you're working with or the group or whatever you're going to, if they cannot show you that in short order, uh, that's important. I know, like for our retreat, reclaiming my self-worth, I can count on one hand in 32 years the people who came and left before they finished the 10 hours.
Hmm.
Only
Hmm.
5. I have them recorded.
Hmm.
So to me, that's a track record.
Yes.
So that's another thing you look for is, does this organization or this support system, do they have a track record of results? People who can step up and actually say, this worked.
Yes. And that's credentials. Am I right?
Well, it's credentials and
Credentials,
credibility. It's
credibility. Yes. Hmm.
experience. And that comes with giving people the tools
Hmm.
that they can then go home and actually use to
And
make
it's interesting
changes.
from my experience. I remember when I discovered Gary Zukav years ago. He wrote the book, The Seat of the Soul.
Mhm.
And he was on Oprah, and he said, when you make a conscious decision to change, the universe will go, oh, really? Okay. Here, because I feel like the world is a classroom.
Right.
And so you're setting an intention to change. Well, here's an opportunity. Here's a growth opportunity. And all of a sudden the situation pops up to test you. And that happened with me, with you. I had a situation where I could have been triggered that evening after finishing the Reclaiming Your Self-Worth program. That Sunday evening, I was at home and I saw something on social media that could have sent me into a major meltdown. And I just went, nope, I'm not going there. Not going there. I have a show to do tomorrow morning with Dr. Laurie, and I'm not going to show up as a hot mess. I'm going to show up with my self-confidence and my self-worth, and we're going to just keep on trucking and moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, you made a different decision than the
Yes.
past. And
Because of
that's
these
when
new
you know,
awarenesses. Yes.
yeah, and that's when you know whatever you're doing is working for you. I
Exactly.
had a client, Jill, a client who had been in therapy for 25 years. That's the
Mhm.
record in my lists of records, and had never made a change.
I
So
can imagine.
where's the connection there? There was
Kind of
none.
stuck in a pattern, just
Mhm, mhm.
wow.
Right on. So we will be tested, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Um, Something else that we practice a lot is thankfulness or gratitude.
Mm.
And we share with our clients, you know what? It's easy to be thankful for your house and your car and your kids and your bank account. What's not so easy is to be thankful for the journey. Be grateful for your journey and honor it rather than resent it and regret it. And I shouldn't have done this, and I shouldn't have gone there, and I shouldn't have married that person, and I shouldn't have. Don't worry about that.
It's tough.
I
Yeah.
know. But when you can do
Yeah.
that and go, because you see, there's a gift in everything. But one
Mhm.
time it used to take me 5 years to find the gift. I go, oh, you know what? I made that poor business decision back then. But it's a good thing I did that because this is the result 5 years later.
Mhm.
But that shortened as I became more aware. And now when the you know what hits the fan, I don't give it more than maybe 2 minutes to find the gift.
There you go.
So I
Yes.
went from years of
Mhm.
realizing, oh, that wasn't so bad after all, and probably a good thing that happened too. When the you know what hits the fan now, I go, okay, there's the you know what. Now what's the gift in there?
Right. And that, oh, that is such, well, that is such a wonderful example of what can happen when you do the work,
That's right.
because you're saving time, you're saving
Oh,
yourself from suffering,
right.
and you're getting the gift, you're gaining wisdom, and you're moving forward
Exactly.
with purpose. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes in my business, something that I had planned on or whatever would be canceled.
Mhm.
And I'd go, well, great. I could have used that money, like what are they doing? And then I went, no, that's because something bigger is around the corner and I'm going to need the time or the space. And that just happened to me. Just
Yeah.
happened this week. And I
Mhm.
went, okay, no problem. And that's what it's doing. It's clearing the path for a project that you and I are going to be involved in.
Mhm.
And if I was tied up during those 2 weeks, I wouldn't be available. So that got canceled. And I'm going, yes.
There you go. Redirect.
Right?
Yeah, you're being, yeah, it's just a course correction, because
That's right.
you're on a journey, and with your intentions, you're finding the right opportunities and people and
Yes,
ideas. The
absolutely.
ideas come as well when
Absolutely.
you give it space to happen.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
you have to, sometimes you have to give up certain things to get certain things. And a lot of
And that
people are,
includes toxic connections, toxic
oh,
relationships.
there's a T word,
Oh,
toxic.
right. Ooh, did I
Yeah.
say that out loud?
Yes, you did. All right. Well, we'll wrap up here because our time, can you believe our time is up like an
What?
hour?
Wait, I'm
Well,
not done.
I know
I
I'm
can
not
still
done
go.
either.
I
I'm
can
not
stay
done
here
either.
all.
Well, maybe sometime we'll do a 2-hour special. We can do that too sometime. But yeah, so the right tools, we have over 1,000 tools in our toolbox that we share with people. And we're really proud of that. So you need tools to work with. You can't build a house with just a hammer.
Right.
You
Mhm.
can't, you have to have the tools for life, just like you have tools for your trade.
Yes.
You can't go and be a welder if you don't have welding equipment,
Right.
right?
And you need the right teachers to show you how to use them.
That's right.
These
That's right.
tools. Yes. Wow.
All right. Well, tomorrow we're going to have Marie Wakiki on our Fun Friday. And I can't wait to meet her. I haven't met her yet. And so tune in tomorrow for our Fun Friday special guest coming in. And Jill, thank you so very much for supporting our Veterans Show on Thursdays.
Thank you
And
for
of
having
course,
me. It's always a
oh,
privilege.
oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So everybody have a great rest of the day, and
Yes.
we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you too.
Thank you.